Back at it again. Today's the Photo Culture Podcast. Today we have a special guest for us today, and her name is Coach Cass.
Whoop whoop! So happy to be here.
Well, we welcome you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. I'm actually kind of excited about today's topics that we have.
Oh snap! I'm scared.
You should be.
Yeah, I got some questions, but Miles Mills.
Let's start by what do you do? What is your company?
Oh, okay. What do I do and what is my company? Okay, so I'm a love coach specifically for successful single women, really over the age of 40. You know, one thing I find is that so many women focus on their careers for so much of their life, and they look up and they say, wait, who am I going to spend my life with? Who am I going to spend time with? How does this work? And dating can get so scary in today's day and age. So I speak around the world and I coach women all around loving themselves. And then how do they really choose the right mate and not the wrong one? Because we've done that before.
So what dictates success for women? Like, what is
successful women. So mainly when it comes to successful women, it's women who are focused, women who are driven, women who are accomplishing their feats. Because there's some women that just
Are stagnant.
are really stagnant. So I'm about progressive women who are into personal development, who want to do better, that want to do something different with their lives. Because there are many people that are just like, I'll just be the way I am for the rest of my life, and that's not my ideal plan.
So it's not dictated towards money or status or anything?
Well, essentially, you do need money to work with me. Yes, I do not run a nonprofit.
No, I'm
I'm
saying
for
like
profit.
No, like the criteria to sign up.
Yeah. So it's not a certain amount of money to make.
Okay.
No.
So what made you decide to pick the name Inspire Many?
Inspire Many? Okay, so it's a long time ago, but my main focus has always been, because I've transitioned in terms of coaching, of what type of coach I've been, but always my focus is to inspire others. And I was like, inspire me? No, that's just about me. Inspire one? No, inspire many. So my main focus is if I can inspire you, that it's a ripple effect that touches others.
Nice, I like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
So did you go to school to be a therapist or?
So I actually have many degrees. None of them are in therapy, right? So the difference between a coach and a therapist, like therapists have their place, right? Mm-hmm. But I want you to get up off the couch and do something, right? Mm-hmm. So coaching is action oriented. It's about accountability and making things happen. So for me, I do have a certification in life coaching, in wellness coaching, in business coaching, in love coaching, in matchmaking. I'm an international certified matchmaker. That's a whole nother conversation. So I have many certificates and degrees, but my main focus is to hold you accountable to what you say you want and help you stop sabotaging what you say you want. Because so many times we say, you know what, I want an amazing relationship, but we don't call them back. We cuss them out. We hang up the phone. We slam a door. You know, we do so many things that are an absolute contradiction to what we say we want. Yeah.
We were just talking about something before we got
Uh-oh.
Why are you putting me?
Is it wrong for a woman to chase a guy? Like, if a guy goes ghost, like, and you think something's wrong with him, shouldn't you, like, check up on him, like, no?
Wait, if he goes ghost, so how, you know, there's a lot of metrics to this question. How long were they talking for?
I don't know if I should be
putting me out there.
Yeah, this is kind of private. So
this is a private.
So
so it's not Amanda. It's her friend Susie.
Yeah, let's already.
Friend Susie.
No, like 3 months.
Okay, 2-3 months. You were talking, and then all of a sudden just went missing.
Yeah, kind of. Well, we were all supposed to go to a mutual friend's birthday.
Okay.
And he didn't contact our mutual friend or me or anything saying that he was coming. And you know those 5-star restaurants, they want you to all be there. It gets nothing. I was like, oh, wow. Like, that's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
So, no. I had to call from, like, a whole other number.
To get in touch with him?
Yeah, to be like, okay, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
She was so interesting.
but that's just her coaching.
It's like a one-on-one coaching with it being filmed. Okay.
It's free though.
He was just like, "Oh, we were rushing too fast, this and that." I'm like, I see you once a week.
Right.
Like, I don't pressure you to hang out with me. Like, none of that. I'm like, I see you once a week and we chill because I don't really like going out.
Yeah.
We just like low key chill, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm like, not going to sit here and argue with you. You obviously have your own issues.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's
And he
it.
was saying,
Mm-mm.
I should have been like, oh, well, you know, what are your issues?
Nah.
I'm not, no.
Checking up on
I'm
Fix
with
the person.
I'm
Called
with
it
the
a
man
whole
down
nother number.
there.
She did enough.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that she called from her phone and he didn't answer, and then she called from another phone and he did. Hello. And then he said they were moving too fast. So obviously there was something extra there that he was reading into this dinner.
He wasn't ready for it.
Then more, yeah. So pretty much, maybe he didn't want to be seen in public, in terms of being with her. You know, the Snapchat filters, the Instagram filters, the Facebook posts.
It was too much.
Right. So maybe he had a couple of people lined up, and this might mess up, you know, his options. You know, being seen sitting next to her and taking a boo pic to be posted.
Which
so,
I
know.
don't do, by the way. But
Right. Yeah, but essentially you're in a group.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to say, oh, well, who's
Yeah.
that sitting next to you? There's always that chance. So
Yeah.
So,
I would say you did the right thing and letting that go. No, we don't need to check up anything more. Mm-mm.
so for the climate we're in, how did dating change the last like 10, 20 years? Because I know it is like it's online now. And
Right.
a whole bunch of different
That's the
factors.
biggest part, right? So online dating's been around for a very long time, but now people are lazier than ever in terms of leaving their house. You see, they like to low-key chill. Like everybody just wants to Netflix and just, okay, that's about it. So there's no real effort when it comes to dating. You know, it's more of a hangout, like, oh, just let's meet up over here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, what happened to the effort? Before 20 years ago, a gentleman would either show up to your home or show up on time to a place, have a flower or a rose, open a door, you know, seat you in your chair. But now it's just like, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? What can that person do for me? And, you know, let's
It's a
see if this could work.
transaction.
Yeah,
Netflix
it's
and
very
chill.
transactional. You know, like, are you down for this or are you down for that? If not, I don't know. You know, so half of the society just wants sex. The other side wants relationship. But then the sex people are saying, hey, I want a relationship when all they want is sex. So it's like, then there's not the transparency like there used to be of, you know, courtship and getting to know people. So it's a little bit harder, especially for women, you know, who just want to take their time in getting to know someone. I know so many men are like, well, I got to kick the tires. But, sorry, you don't even know her last name. You know, like, you know, you paid for Chipotle. You know, like, this is, you know, it's like modern day prostitution sometimes. It's like, well, I paid for 3 dinners, so then it should equal this. No, it equals nothing other
That's
than
what
great
I'm seeing a lot
conversation.
now. It's
No,
like
Chipotle kinda
dating.
get expensive.
You didn't
I used to
go
say
there.
if she get the guac, then
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That extra guac. Extra guac. Yo.
if I get
Ladies,
her
$2 guacamole does not equal your cookie. No, please don't
Oh
do
my
it.
so like from your teachings,
Yes.
how do you impact, like what is the core things you teach people daily?
So it really comes down to how we see love. So I call it your love lens, right? Like, we don't realize that we see love through a specific lens of what we've been through. You know, we just think it's normal.
Or what
I
we
didn't-
see too.
Hmm?
What we see like our around.
Right.
like
Or
parents.
even romantic comedies, right? Like, seriously, in the back of our minds, a lot of us watch a romantic comedy and that's really what we're expecting. Even though our parents have dysfunction and people around us, we watch the romantic comedies and in the heart of hearts, you want this knight in shining armor to come in and rescue you. But it's like, no, nobody's coming to rescue you. There's nothing wrong. You know, how do you really date? There's no college class on it. Your mama didn't teach it to you. And you're like, okay, well, how do you really do this in a way that is authentic to
Trial and error.
what you want? Right. And some of those trials are big errors. Like, oh my God, I just got pregnant by like 3 people. You know, it's like, or which one was it? You know, so, you know, some of these trials aren't working out too well. So for me, it's really teaching women, you know, how do you see love? How do you look at your love blueprint of how you love, you know, through what happened with your dad, through what happened with your friends, through what you saw on TV. What is your real belief around love? What are you expecting from a man that you're not saying out of your mouth? It's in the back of your mind. You have a long list of expectations, but like, dude, you're not coming out with it. And then is that realistic? Oh, well, I want my man to change my tire, put my gas in my car. I specifically have a client, was with a guy for 2 years. Great guy, headed to marriage, blah, blah, blah. She ended up with a nail in her tire. She called him and was like, oh, I got a nail in my tire. And because he didn't rush to her rescue and fix the tire, she dumped him. Because in the back of her mind, a man should fix a tire.
Yeah, I realize that
Now-
too.
Yeah.
Now down the line, it
That's-
turns out
What did you realize?
down the line he didn't know how to fix a tire. He just didn't know how to fix a tire. Great guy, just didn't know how to fix a tire.
Even if I know how to fix a tire, you can't expect me to run all the way.
It's not even
like,
that. I
come
think
on,
the
what?
expectation for like a single woman or when you're dating, the expectation is just out of this world. Even if you guys connect, the expectation for either woman to a man or a man to a woman, from my perspective, from woman to a man, they expect you to like be this guy, and you're just like, no.
And nobody's perfect.
Right.
So
And
how
then
do you
they-
expect us to be this perfect guy that look like we're not perfect?
Right.
And it's like,
But
oh, you
she
can't cut
sounded
down
like she
trees.
wanted
and
like
you
a
can't-
man's man.
Yeah.
But I think you can spot a man's man.
But at the same time, she had the expectation, didn't say it to him,
Mm-hmm.
dumped him, and then come to find out the man doesn't even know how to fix a tire. So you holding him against something that he doesn't even know how to do. You like, I don't know if
But
it's
shouldn't you have found that out in the 2 years?
But I don't
Like, you
think that
just
should
got
be-
engaged.
I just think it's hot. It's
So
just
were you guys
expectations.
really ready to get engaged if now you're finding out he can't change a tire?
They make
So
all types of decisions
I feel like that was
based on the way we see
a
it.
little thing that saved both of them. Because
The expectations.
How do you not
are-
know
Yeah, I was
that?
about to say that. I went to couples therapy, and it's the expectations that people put on that
From
person.
from TVs
Yeah.
and movies and stuff like that. It's not even real. Like,
and from other couples.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
which
There's
is on
that YouTube
Instagram,
thing
though.
now, the
Right.
Instagram, they see other couples, so they want you to do this.
a
that,
man's
and they
supposed
see
to do
everybody
this.
else doing
That's so annoying.
Man, my husband put a lot of people in trouble. So my husband proposed to me in front of 200 women at a conference via a flash mob. Right?
I seen
In
that.
New York.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally supposed to do it at the Central Park.
Yes, it was supposed to be
He
in
did his
Central
at
Park.
Central Park.
I did my
Oh, nice!
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So it's just like, so then we post that video, like 12,000 people have seen it, right? And then now all his guy friends are like, yeah, thanks. Like, why did you post that?
Now we gotta
Right?
top that.
Exactly, and it's not about that. It's who you're with.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're low key, you might just want somebody to slide you a ring. Like, all right, thanks,
No,
boo.
but
I
some
love
girls
you.
I seen, and I hear girls sometimes say, "Oh, you gotta do better than that." Like they're whispering, like, "You see what he did for her, and you can't do that for me." Like,
Well, that just shows you what type of girl she is.
Exactly, and that's the
But I
conversation.
don't think it's bad because I do it. I mean, guys do it too. You're like, oh, a woman's supposed to be able to do this.
Cook,
And when,
clean,
yeah, exactly. Then
rub
when you
feet,
when
give
you're with this
head.
person for a long time,
you said give head.
Yeah, is that not a thing?
nah, that's definitely a thing.
Oh, okay.
So like when you're with that person and it's less than what you thought it would, it's gonna be it's gonna bring you down to earth, but it's gonna be something that you have to like get over.
Yeah, see, I'm
Yeah,
not
so
that
in a
needy. I
marriage,
don't need
let
all
me throw that
that.
out in a marriage.
I'm not that needy. I don't need all that.
But there's
female
something
business, so.
some things you have to sacrifice. Like, I can't expect you every month to take me on a getaway. Like, let's say that's important to me or it's minor to me. Like, I have to sit here and be like, oh, there's certain things you can't do. But what's important to me is traveling. So we take a trip every 6 months. If you
Yeah.
can't do that, then all right, then I'm
I
going
think
this
that's
way.
Well,
all
it's-
good, though.
It's compromising pretty much. You gotta
Yeah,
compromise in a
compromising.
relationship, and then you gotta be able to communicate. That's what I've been learning so far. Because I'm still learning how to be a perfect boyfriend, or well, not perfect, but being a better.
But the big part of that is understanding it's a lifelong process. You know, like my issue is that we just expect love to be like magic fairy dust and to work itself out and not work on it, right? So that's good that you're saying I'm trying to figure out and continue that yearning to be better, you know. But I want to go back to what you were saying, Amanda. Okay, so if you say after 6 months there's no trip, then there might be a money mindset issue, right? So maybe you're just not on the same wavelength of how to budget, how you see money, and what's valuable. So I always recommend Financial Peace University, right?
I
So
was just about to say that.
it's-
Not the university thing,
Okay.
but I'm gonna be honest with you. If you're talking to a guy that's motivation, like he's an entrepreneur and he's like focused, his mindset is money, money, money.
right,
And women, I had to deal with this. My girlfriend, we argue about this all the time. We see money differently,
right.
and she's always talking about money's not everything. Money's not this. Money's not that.
Right.
But money pays bills.
Right.
Money does
And
this.
the worst is when they're like, oh, we don't have to spend money, but every time you guys go out, you spend
Spend
money.
money, yeah. So it's like women and men don't see money eye to eye, and maybe you're right. Maybe we should take a financial class.
I'm telling you, it's the best class. So it is a Christian-based class, but even if you're not Christian, it's a good course to take because every class is a different aspect of money. So it just opens up your mind to, well, how did I learn about money? Why is money important? So for me, I come from Jamaican immigrants, right? So we're hoarders, right? Straight up, like I can use this bowl,
10 years from
for 10 different things, right? You know, the butter. When you open a butter container,
It's
there's
not
chicken
butter.
in there. You know what I mean? like we
I think that's
reused
all
everything.
islands do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know,
And
but
that's
then
because they didn't have much, so they had to.
right,
Yeah,
but
improvise.
if you
Yeah.
date somebody that didn't come from that, right, and they spend more, so now you're a saver and you're looking at them like, why are you just wasting money? And you judge people, right? So my husband, he's a watch guy, so he'll spend a couple thousand on a watch, and I think he's crazy. But I spend $4,000 on a trip to Thailand and not blink an eye, you know, and he thinks I'm
Different
nuts.
priorities.
It's just different priorities.
Because I'll just stay through my car, and then my girlfriend will be like, what is all this for? Like, accessories for the car.
See, so then it's a conversation of what's your priorities. But one of the biggest things that I learned from that class is if you're in a relationship, a committed relationship with someone, a big part is who's a spender, who's a saver. But other than that, how much money do you need in the bank to feel safe? Because if you're a saver and your significant other is a spender, you're going to go crazy watching them spend your money or spend money, period. Like, oh man, this person's just going to make us bankrupt. So how much money do you need in the bank to feel good so that you can both do what you feel like without being checked? You know,
Now,
like,
do you think
why are you spending that?
people in marriage should have a joint account, or people in relationships have a joint account?
I
Should
think
be
you should have a
separate.
joint, in my opinion. Especially
Or
if you're having a
both.
business. Like, I can't have a joint account if I have a business.
Right. So to me, it depends on the couple. If you're both 9-to-5ers, I think it's easier to say, okay, every 2 weeks, this is the paycheck, blah, 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 blah. But then now if you have business income, then there's different expenses. And you don't necessarily want your spouse paying your business expenses and mixing that all up, right? So I really believe it depends on the situation. I don't believe in mixing accounts until you're married, really, because, you know, you kind of have to sign this contract that says, hey, I'm going to be with you for life, and that's your intention. Otherwise, you know, anything can happen at any time,
And now
right?
when you're married, do
Yeah.
you think the woman should have a side? Because you know how men are. Like, let's not lie. Let's not
I'm
lie.
gonna tell the truth because we know, girl. This is why they said we just had a.
We gotta save for a rainy day, okay? Let's
So
not lie.
we had a guy named Big Fredo come on, and he was
Uh-huh.
saying that women are like cats and men are like dogs. It's
Mhm.
like you always see a dog fucking like else, like you see it a lot. But cats, you rarely see it. They're always hiding. They're sneaky. So
Yeah.
that's why he was saying women are sneaky.
Yeah.
So
Women are sneaky.
We do a lot better.
yeah, you guys do. I'm glad you guys are admitting.
That's who I am. I admit it, okay?
Because
Like,
some girls sit there lying. No, it's not true. And I know you guys are
Never
sneaky.
lied.
Women are sneaky.
Okay. Now we getting somewhere.
So let me ask you, you're married, so how do you put in the things that you teach into your everyday like marriage?
Sometimes I mess up, and my husband be like, "Oh, love coach." Hey, love coach, how you doing? I'm like, "Oh, thank you." So then I go to the pastor and say, "Hey, pastor." So then that's when he calms himself down, right? So understanding that we're not perfect. The profession that I've chosen is one that is for high scrutiny in my personal life, you know. So it is a often check. But one of the biggest things that I have to remind myself as is when I get crabby and when I get rude and when I get disrespectful, it's really because there's something up with me and it has nothing to do with him, you know? So it's like, what are those daily things that I'm doing to make sure that I'm right so that when I come to say, hey, babe, it's not coming from a place of tired, disgusted, annoyed by something else and then taking it out on him. You know, like that daily process of marriage is a big one, because I don't know if any of you have ever had a roommate and it's just like your roommate gets on your nerves, but you could be rude to your roommate and be like, all right, I'm gonna see you later, and you don't have to talk to them for 2 weeks. But then when it's your spouse, that's not necessarily the healthiest. You know, you can't do that. So really understanding how would I want to be treated and actually listening to when I get called out, like, you know what, I am wrong, you know, and being playful with it. Sometimes in marriages we easily push buttons and go off the hinges, but if your best friend did it, it'll slide right off your shoulder. But because your spouse did it, you're like, oh no, that was the worst. Right. Yeah, but being able to bounce back is a big teller and a big telltale sign of how successful your relationship will be. How do you release those grudges? How do you let that thing go, whatever it was? Because we get in arguments, people get in arguments over the stupidest stuff.
These days, people don't realize relationships is a work, it's a job, and they just think it's going to work out. If it doesn't work out, then it wasn't meant to be, instead of trying to make it work and like clock in and clock out.
So I don't necessarily say love is work you know, because that we always find it so bad. Like, oh, I hate work. I don't like work. So, you know, it's like love can be fun, but it still has to be intentional because everything else we do is intentional. Anything else you want. This podcast, you had to schedule people. You had to call and follow up with people. It doesn't just happen in magic air. You just show up to this place and say, I'm here. Let the podcast begin. No, right? And you have to plan for it, and you have to schedule some stuff, and you have to call some people. So that's the same thing we need to do in everything else, in your travel plans, in your workout plans, in your laptop plan, whatever you got to do, you plan for it. But in love, we just decide magic fairy dust land, sparkle, you know, be sexy, yes, you know, love me now.
I was talking to my friend. He's a recruiter, and he does follow-ups and all that stuff. He talks to customers trying to sign them up to be like nurse, like he sets them up in hospitals, nurses and stuff like that. And he was talking to a girl, and they didn't work out. Now she came back down. She went to Tally. Now she came back down here. She contacted him, so they talking, and he was saying, yeah, I haven't talked to her in a couple of days. And I was like, why don't you like follow up with her? Like when you talk to a customer, don't you follow up with them? And he's like, yeah, but I'm just tired. I don't got time for that. I don't got time for that. So
that's the thing.
The funny part about this is that she kind of broke his. I think she broke his heart because now he's like, I can't mess with no Trini girls now.
Oh, so he just like doesn't want to do anything with that
the department just because of what she did, and she moved to Tally with another guy, but that didn't work out, I guess. So that's why she's down here. And he's like, yeah, it sounds like she changed, but I don't know, and he's not sure. But
what is he not sure about? Just move on.
Yeah.
Just move on, right? So sometimes we hold on to the past.
He just wants to taste, I think. He just wants to taste it a little bit.
No. The taste.
Yeah, sometimes
you
guys do that
poison,
sometimes. Guys
right?
do that sometimes. Like,
double back.
I missed out on that. She came back around. I didn't go after her. She came to me, so I'm out to take a bite.
It's such a problem.
So let me ask you, do you think like the 90-day rule works when you're dating?
What is with you on this 90-day rule?
I know it works.
I want to hear it from like a somebody.
But did you were abstinent for a while? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So my husband waited 3 years.
3.
Okay.
You okay, brother?
He loves you.
My husband waited till our wedding day. He sure did wait till our wedding day. So I do recommend the 90-day rule, just because in today's society, it's like, I meet you, you meet me, you're sexy, let's do it. The next morning, you're like, nah, let's keep it moving. And all of that, we pretend like it doesn't affect us, but it does. You know, so hard, and it hurts, especially if that person ghosts and goes missing. Then it's like, was my stuff not good? So then it's like the self-esteem is a killer. So even though you might enjoy sex, what comes along with that when you have sex with a person that you're not really attached to, know nothing about, and you have no conversation about what you're doing, that it ends up in a bad situation. One person is always like, can we be more? And the other person's like, I don't know. Right? So statistically is having a conversation of what are we and what are we doing. If this is just a tonight thing and we have that conversation, then it's not as bad as just having the heat of the moment, let's see, and then you have one expectation, I'm in a relationship getting married, and the other person's like, I just met you, I'm gone. Right? So being able to have that conversation of what are we doing, no matter what, you know, relationship or not, is having that conversation. So for me, I like 90 days or even a monogamous relationship because there's too many STDs out here. And, you know, I do believe in dating multiple people, but I don't necessarily need you sleeping with multiple people, because then if you end up with something, like, who did it? Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. That's not a good place to be.
Sex could blind you from actually learning to learn.
How many times have we stayed with somebody because of that good? That good. I'ma just stick around because it's so good, but they're so poisonous and they're evil. But just lay down, you know, or just stand up. But either way, you know, it's like it really does cloud your judgment in terms of saying, you know, is this somebody as a viable partner in life? Outside in the light that I'd actually take around my coworkers or my friends or my clients. Probably not, you know, that good ain't always that good.
I don't like to say this, but I look at like relationships with women. I'm not trying to downplay it, but
there we go.
But women are like an investment to me.
Okay.
And like you said, you did like 3 years. So if I was dating you and I was talking to you for 3 years, I'm not gonna I just like it's 3 years like in a business. I invested into a business. You're not gonna just throw away the business and like, you just invest like 3 years worth of money into that.
What are you doing though in that 3 years?
I mean,
Like, what did your husband do in that 3 years?
What do you mean? What did you do?
Like,
He waited.
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
If I'm building and waiting for 3 years, I'm not gonna just throw my business away. I'm not gonna throw away my women like that. So was that planned? Like he knew that originally, or?
So here's the thing. His friends would come up to me like, how you doing? We know he's abstinent. So it was already a path that he was on. I didn't convince him, you know? So I was lucky in that.
Yeah, you very
was
lucky
pretty
because
cool.
you could have been like, what's his name? Ashley.
Now, mind you, like the guy before him was like, oh, I'm a nympho, so this is not going to work. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
You know?
what's
Yeah, he's a
What is
nympho.
that?
A nympho, somebody's who's addicted to sex, who also had herpes.
Oh,
But it's just
man.
like, you know, these are the conversations that you need to have. Like, and I know a lot of women that are waiting or saying, you know, I need to know you, you know? And sometimes what sex has become is kind of like, oh, we go from kissing. There's no more bases. It's just
Yeah,
like,
for
if I
sure.
kiss you, now it's sex. It's like, wait a second, I was just trying to kiss you for a little bit. And so now you don't even want to touch a person's hand because you're like,
Foreplay.
shoot, there is no such thing as foreplay. The sucker goes from hand to hand in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like maybe
Yeah,
I
oh
should even
God.
yeah, maybe
but you
I
gotta
should
roll
look
out
at you
this
too hard.
I was just talking about this too. I would have conversations like stuff like this, but I was talking about how guys don't have like how you women could talk to each other and like you guys can discuss about certain parts and talk about us guys don't have like a thing where we do that with guys. Like we're not gonna go. I'm not gonna go to Max like. Yeah, I think you should do it like this, or this is what's going on. 'Cause
That's
it's
your
like,
fault.
No, it's all men's fault. I would say my fault. But yeah, you women talk together, so you guys know more. So like some guys don't know about foreplay, especially when you're young, and that's why I say sometimes you gotta work with a guy too, because like I'm not gonna lie to you. I started eating pussy like what 2 years ago, 1 year ago.
Congratulations.
That was not a thing.
Congratulations to the sister.
That was not to me. To me, that was like foreign to me. Like in high school, like eat pussy. What? You got me crazy. Like that was not a thing for
And
me.
DJ Khaled still doesn't do it.
Yeah, well, he got it now, but yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like some people don't have the knowledge of it, and we don't have a book to
That's
like.
why
to,
you watch porn and you.
no,
Do
but
you think that helps?
yeah, I was about to say
Really?
porn to me don't help because it's putting false thing in your head. Like all that stuff you see in porn is fake. Some of it.
Right.
So
Okay,
you
watch
watch
And
it.
like every single time it's not gonna be like that. I remember watching a training and the presenter said if you have great sex, like you know, you both climax, it was amazing, it was like, oh, this was so juicy, so amazing, I want you to create a plaque. Put the date and shed a tear because it's not gonna happen that often. You know what I mean? Like 80% of the time, sex is cool, but it's not like whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I know, you know, thanks for, but it's about connection. And sex is even better when you're connecting with someone that you love and you care about and like you trust and all of that. You know, like there's another level to that. So that's in terms of exploring sexually, what's beautiful about doing that with somebody that you're really with is having the conversations of what she likes or doesn't like or what you're into or not into and being able to respect each other's boundaries, what you're, you know, and all that stuff. So it's nothing to feel ashamed about. It's just like, okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
but some women are like, I shouldn't be teaching or exploring that. They don't want to waste their time. Like you
I
should
get that too, because
like it's
that's
a
a
waste of
bad.
their time. Like they feel like
What?
I feel
So
like
they don't want you to practice on them is what you said?
No, I would.
Like,
I would expect my girl to just do what she do, like know what to do.
yeah.
But
Some
then if
people
she's
don't wanna
not
deal
doing
with
it
that.
right, you just tell her move to the
I
left,
don't
move
think
to the
you can
right.
teach
I feel
somebody
like
to-
there's
But
a
some people
difference
don't want
between
that.
teaching and tweaking.
Yeah.
There-
So what's the difference between me personally? I feel like if you guys are exploring together, what's wrong with teaching?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Teaching.
What's wrong with teaching? But like you said, you want to deal with somebody tweak, but you don't want to deal with nobody tweak. You don't want to
My
teach
thing
nobody
is,
that.
I get turned
I'm
on
like damn
by
near
somebody.
30 already.
See?
So like if you're a man and you done ran through how many girls?
Why you assume?
Yeah. What if
That's
he's
just
what if
what
he's a
it
virgin
is.
still?
Where? Point to one.
Why is that a thing?
There's
Why?
no virgin.
Why does girls not like guys with very little experience? That's like a
I'm not
thing.
saying I don't like that, but point me to one.
But if I pointed you to one, you probably would
not.
not be.
Exactly.
You
I
wouldn't-
probably won't believe him.
No,
but-
you wouldn't like them. Like
And
I never said that.
I don't
would.
think you would.
It wouldn't
That's what I
last
think
because
for-
you wouldn't want to teach him.
Ah.
even if you did like him, it wouldn't last because you'd be like, this is babying. I don't want to deal with this.
I don't think girls are attracted
What you just said.
to guys
That's
that
what
are
you just
virgins.
said.
If you met a
You know, the
30-year-old
last
virgin,
5
you would not
times
be attracted
that
to him.
he.
I think virginity is beautiful.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't think you really.
Like it's hard, right? So I know someone that was a virgin before they got married, and it was tough because all her life she was taught,
Well, girls are
keep
different.
yourself, keep yourself, keep
Girls are
yourself. And
Guys
then all of a
like when
sudden,
girls are virgins.
You're supposed to be
That's
this
why you
freak
said
of the
it's
week,
Yeah.
freak of league, swing from a chandelier, and
'Cause they want
everybody
that control
has
to
their
teach
own.
you what they like.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody has
That's
their
the
own
way to like this.
inhibitions, right? 1 in 6 women have been raped or molested. 1 in 3 women have been raped or molested. 1 in 6 men, right? So everybody has their stuff that they're dealing with. So it's just like how you touch me, the way you touch me, does it remind me of what I've been through? So you got to think of all of that, right? So it's looking at where you've been and how do I teach you to do what I like? That's all it is. If your wife knows how to please you, and if she just needs to tweak a few things, lick this way, lick that way, jiggle this way, like say it, you know what I mean? And if you're not comfortable in saying it, then that's something with you to say, all right, well, why am I not comfortable? How come? Is there something in my past of when I opened up about whatever that I was shut down or judged? Am I afraid to be judged? Do I trust the person I'm with? Is it something that I need to meet with a coach, a therapist, a counselor about to just have a conversation around this? Because you got to be able to have that.
Can teach you how to eat pussy, man.
That's what your woman is for, just
Yeah.
to say,
I was reading the
something.
book about that actually.
This
I
is
like to
exciting.
learn. I like to learn a lot.
Okay,
of
we
things.
read a
And,
book on it.
Yeah, I do everything. I do the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Saying that you need to create a space with your women where you should have an open conversation where you should be able to talk about stuff like that. Like, did you like it like this, or you want it like this, or faster, slower, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah. Because some people are loud and will tell you exactly, and some people are absolutely mute and will say nothing. So sometimes it is while you're eating dinner and you just talk about it, because sometimes it might be awkward in the moment, right?
I had
so then
a
you
friend
feel
tell
judged.
me that he was with a girl and her head game was trash,
Uh-huh.
and he would tell her in that moment, obviously she didn't react very well to it. And I'm like, well, maybe you should have told her like at a different time, because now she's naked and she's doing
Trying.
it, and she's trying, and like that wasn't probably the best moment for her. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about communication, because I think that's one of the things that I think most men struggle with. I think because girls want to like do too much communication, and guys want to communicate when we want to communicate.
Women think we know how to read minds, okay? That's the problem.
So like in a disagreement, my girl just goes crazy, and then I shut off. I'm just like, all right, we'll talk about this when I'm not annoyed.
See, that's the problem I used to do, and I realized that by doing that, you're deflecting it. It's better to address it there and then, because all you're doing is holding everything in, and then this next day, holding it in, then the next day, you just snap.
But I think you resolve it at some point. It's just when it's at that point, my girl will send you like 1,000 text messages, and it's like, all right, I'll read this tomorrow. But it doesn't work. So what do you think about like communicating in a
So there's 4 things that lead to demise of any relationship and every marriage, right? So in terms of divorce, if you want to be divorced and if you don't want your relationship to work out, these are the 4 things that you do. 1 is criticism, right? This is what you do. You always do this. You never do that. You suck, right?
Yeah, relationships in the past.
Right, exactly. Contempt, rolling of the neck, like, I don't care, I don't respect you, like, this doesn't work. Stonewalling, so that's the shut down, cut off, I'm not talking to you until I cool down whenever, and you just need to wait until I feel better to talk to you.
Yeah.
And then the 4th is contempt, criticism, defensiveness. It's not my fault, it's your fault. It's always somebody else's fault. It's not my fault. We could all think somebody like that, right? So those are the 4 things that literally tear apart relationships. And I'm pretty sure you could think about one person that you don't like very much. More than likely, they do one of those 4 things in terms of blaming somebody, criticizing somebody, just being daggone disrespectful, right? And then straight up shutting down when you want to talk to them. So in terms of communication, staying away from those 4 things are the biggest.
But I'm saying, like, isn't there a point where there's too much communication? Like,
so if you're getting to a place where you want to fight your woman, I definitely would say that you need to go calm down and come back.
Do you agree with don't go to bed angry?
It just depends. right? Like sometimes you're upset. So you could table things, but you could still be respectful of each other, right? If you love this person, just think of it like this. If you work with somebody and you get in a disagreement, you're not cussing them out on the job, right?
Wow,
You're not cussing your boss out. You're not cussing the HR people out. You're not cussing your clients out, right? So why would you try and do that to the one that you love? Somehow we treat the loved ones the worst. These total strangers that we work with, oh, hey, Becky Sue, hey, Rashida, we're good, right? No, so being able to take that same skill set home to say, all right, this is how I operate when I'm upset, and having that conversation when you're not upset. Hey, babe, I realize that when we get into arguments, this is the usual pattern. You want to talk, and then I shut down. Would you like to work out a better operation of how we argue? Because at the end of the day, we just want a solution of being happy, right? So what if we got there quicker by being able to communicate in a way that we both understand? So let's say you're pissed off that I didn't wash the dishes, and you're going off on me to the fact that I need to go run outside and go walk around the block because literally I can't hear you. I'm no longer listening to the words coming out your mouth, right? And having a conversation of what would another way be to communicate to me that you just asking me to wash the dishes, or could I wash the dishes, or just express your frustration. And it could be her seeking therapy around what is her frustrations in life, period, that she goes off on such simple issues, right? So there's some things that she needs to work out too in terms of the way she communicates with you and probably with other people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is she very like rah-rah, like with friends?
I mean, she's my girl's OCD, so she's just like
So that's why she's going crazy over the dishes
over
for
the
real.
smiling. And I'm just like, some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. Good days, you can probably joke about it. Bad days, I'm probably not trying to hit nothing. And I'm just gone. Like, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But I mean, I'm working on it. But I mean, I think find a middle ground.
You lucky you wasn't here for the last interview with
Octavia.
yeah, what?
I know.
Max was not having it.
She
And
looked
we're
good.
trying to explain to him that it doesn't matter. Like, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mhm.
And he's a big person where he's like, he says things, but he don't realize that.
So
I
I
feel
have-
like being like,
I have a question. Going back to him being engaged and being married, and he's 24.
Yes.
Do you think being married that young, do you think he's ready to have like a long-term relationship? Cause,
Well, I just met Max about 3 minutes ago.
but do you think age has anything to do with it? Or not?
So it depends, right? So if you're a mature person
Yeah.
that's deciding that this is what you want for your life, and you have your goals in order, and you're ready to be that provider and that leader of your home, that's up to you. In essence, overall, I think 30 is like the magic number in terms
Yeah,
of
I was
getting
like,
married. But 24, if he feels that, I'm a mature person, I can hold myself down, my woman is my woman, and we could do this together, like, it all works out. Just think about back in the day. People used to get married at 18.
But the mentality and what
work
we're
it out.
faced with now is different. Like, people want to turn up, and people want to clout chase, and people want to be on Instagram and Snapchat. Like, it's more
that's not
accessible.
my
But that's
time.
not
That's
you.
not my time.
Okay, all right.
I'm on a different time. It's
Okay.
like, at the end of the day, if you see something that works that you haven't seen before, it's either you're going to hold on to it, which I tried.
Right.
I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, you'd rather lose that and then go back on the market where there's nothing really comparable, or you'd rather just hang tight and let it ride.
Work it out.
Let's go back to investing. I'm telling you, man, it's business.
How
'Cause
long have you guys
obviously-
been together?
2 years.
Nice.
So yeah, you could be like, okay, let me wait till I'm 27, but then now you're riding this wave.
And then you're messing
Or
with her biological clock. You told
Exactly.
her
Or
age.
she'll be like, I'm not
She's
waiting,
older.
and then then she leaves, and then you
Right.
just
So
like,
they could literally be married for the next 3 years and not have kids and be still
No,
cool.
she has kids already.
Oh,
she
okay.
has a son.
It's
Alright,
not with
cool.
him, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, they're not necessarily in a rush to then have another child.
Like, they can just be married.
Yeah, they could just be married, and not necessarily have to do anything else for a while because, they're both young and see where it goes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when you find somebody that you feel like someone, and she found somebody that she feels like the one, at the end of the day, when you do it, I don't think it matters. As long as your life is ready for it.
Now, mind you, some people's lives aren't ready for it,
I
right?
mean,
So
how do you know? Like, I
I
just had a conversation with my friend, and he's 31 now, and I just found out, like, he's divorced. I'm like, you're 31, so when the hell did you get married? 24.
Yeah.
So they were married for like 8 years with no kids. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so what happened? He's like, just grew into like different people. I cheated, then she cheated, and we tried to work it out, and their divorce was final as of last month. So I'm like, that's why I asked that question. Like,
Yeah.
I was a very mature because I'm 28.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I thought I was mature, but my views now are different than
Right.
what they are now. I had a whole 3-year live-in boyfriend situation,
Yeah.
and I was taking care of his kids
Yeah.
and handling all the like important adult stuff, and he was older than me. But now I'm 28. I'm like, damn, I thought I was mature then. Like, I still had growing to do.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely still have growing to do, but then in this case, you're growing together, versus meeting each other grown, right? So it just depends, right? So right now, you're entering a marriage. You're going to take 2 courses, right? You're going to do premarital. You're going to do Financial Peace University, right? And then you're going to commit to doing a marriage retreat once a year. Right? So finding marriage retreats and that be a part of your travel plans. This is what we do. We go 2 days, 3 days to literally work on our marriage, because the problem is this cheating stuff comes when you don't address your stuff. You have a whole bunch of blow-ups. You start to resent each other. You don't communicate, and then you go to somebody else to vent. Right? So you just put a little crack in the window, and then you just bust the whole window wide open.
Right.
Go
So-
ahead. Once upon a time.
This is not me. Just
Right.
so y'all know.
A friend.
A real life friend. Not a friend in my head or a friend over here.
Right.
So I have a girlfriend. She's 40. She already has a kid. She's in a relationship with this guy. They've been long-term friends like since 15. They kind of tried dating previously in the years, but it wasn't as where it is now. So he took a transition in his life where he's not working, like they laid him off. But he still has his apartment and this and that. She has always made more money than any guy that she's been with.
Mm-hmm.
And she likes being 40 and obviously already have a grown daughter. She still wants to like go out and party and listen to music and go out and eat, and like these are things like we like to do together.
Mm.
So now he used to be like that
Mm.
back in the day.
Oh.
But now there's him being older, him not being financially there, and I'm sure, like any man, your pride, and you're just like, I can't
Yeah,
do
we
this.
want to
'Cause-
provide. We like to the 3 P's, like to
so
call it.
she will be like, she gets frustrated,
Mm.
like, and because then he'll feel some type of way if she like goes out, you know. But she's like, well, this is me. This is what I was doing before you, and this and that. And sometimes she'll like bring him along, but now she feels like, because I brought him along, I gotta pay,
Mm.
and this and that, and now you're feeling some type of resentment.
Mm.
And her mother's doing construction on her house, so long story short, she ended up getting one of her exes to work on the house.
Hey.
But it's not, it was like an ex from like years and years ago, like nothing has ever happened since then. And she told him about it, and he didn't react badly, but he got upset. And then she's just like, I've been doing this stuff on my own forever. And I get that. Like, she's 40. She raised her daughter on her own. She's paying her bills on her own.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, you have to compromise because you're in this relationship with him
Right.
now. And I don't think...
How old is he?
She's 40. Like, around her. Yeah, like 43
And how
or
long have they
something.
been together?
They're probably pushing a year.
Okay. And they have a bunch of problems, or do they have happy times?
They have happy times.
Yeah.
Like, I love him for her. Like, she's rah-rah sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell her, I'm like, this never worked out. You need to find someone to put you in her place. But he does it so good where it's not like, he's not yelling at her like, okay, we're going to communicate. You can't leave, this and that. But his problem is, he's always like, okay, we're done. And I'm like, you can't do that either.
Mm-hmm.
Because then she's going to be like, okay, we're done. Well, I'm going to go out and live my best life,
Right.
which she did last week with me. But
You're like, I'll be that friend. Come on, baby. Come on.
she was like,
So-
can I bring him? I'm like, no.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things I definitely always say in a relationship, if you're in it, you're in it. If you threaten to leave, there's a door. I remember when I was dating my husband, we got in an argument, blah, 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 and it was at my house, and he left, stormed out. Okay. And like 5 minutes passed, and I hear a knock at my door. He's like, you didn't come after me. I was like, what do I look like? You know, I was
They
waiting
want
for you to
us to
run
check.
out in the hallway and like, I was like, hang on to your foot. Like, what do I look like? Here is the deal.
Yeah.
You leave, bye-bye. You stay, let's work it out. You know, like, but if you storm out my house or if you say it's done, like, you make sure you're sure before you say those words. Because I grew up in a household where divorce was thrown around all the time, yet they're still married. You
My
know, it's just
parents
like,
too, yeah.
then why did you keep talking about, I'm leaving, I'm getting a divorce, it's over, and you're still sitting here? This is like 27 years later.
Healthy for
Right?
you.
That's my dad and my stepmom. So I'm just like, you gotta start looking at that stuff. Like, don't put threats out that you're not gonna fulfill. Don't start nothing you can't finish.
Yeah.
Right? So when you get to that place of just respect, so that's why the divorce is not on the table, right? So with this, it's like, all right, so if we're in this, we're in this. And we don't throw that out there, because then there's this small part of you that then starts to stash away and plan for the future and think about abandonment, because that conversation always comes
So
up.
you have your own bank account that you don't know about.
That's like a care package. Like, you waiting for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
You putting
think
doubts
so?
already in the
No.
relationship.
So you don't believe in prenups?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
I believe
Well,
that
no.
essentially Florida law, my husband totally schooled me on this. So Florida law, pretty much what was before your marriage is yours anyway. Essentially,
Oh, okay.
like your real estate holdings and whatever, that's your stuff
My
anyway.
lawyer, I just took a business law class.
Yeah.
He told everybody in the class, he said, make sure you have separate accounts.
Yeah.
Yes, because you don't want the woman taking half of your money.
Yeah. Gotta love lawyers.
Yeah.
Gotta love y'all. But in terms of prenups, I think prenups come into play when it just comes to how do you move your money and how do you protect your family. But outside of that, it's like it really is signing up for a divorce. You know, like if you're worried about a prenup, put your stuff in a trust. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to sign a prenup, but you can put your stuff in a trust. You know, there's other ways around protecting your
Now we're
assets.
talking. Failed marriages have you seen since you set up?
Did I set up?
Yeah, like
No.
do you work with anybody, like couples, and it failed or anything like that, or
No.
so you never witnessed that?
No,
Everybody.
no, I've witnessed failed marriages, and I've witnessed people get married that I told shouldn't get married.
Uh-huh.
But that I specifically set up, no.
How do you know, like from seeing them?
Do you have a
talk to them?
process?
Yeah, like that. If they're
Like, do
gonna
they
work
take
or
a
not.
quiz?
Well, a part of it is what I'm telling Max, right?
Okay.
Like literally doing that work and then also being able to communicate in a way that's healthy. So I'll tell you this, right? So my husband and I were dating and we went on a missions trip to Kenya, right? All the way to Kenya. So from Miami to Heathrow,
you've done a
London
lot.
to Kenya. That's 23 hours, right? And then we were in a bus like this, right? 4 hours. So 28 hours later, we're sitting in the house. My friend lives there with his wife. And my husband, who's my boyfriend at the time, sitting there talking to him about his ex-girlfriend. Oh, my ex-girlfriend, you know, she used to do this. She used to help my mom wash dishes. I was like, hold up. You know, the clap.
Wait a
Hold
minute.
up. Wait a minute. You over here, all the way over here, talking about your ex-girlfriend? Really? So I was pissed. Really? So I was
The whole
mad.
New York came out.
And
Yeah.
I went to my room. We were staying in separate rooms, you know, some mission trip. And so, like, I was mad. I was like, I'm not going to talk to him till tomorrow. I can't believe, you know what, it's over. I'm done. If he's still talking about his ex-girlfriend, there's still something there. We're so far away. And if he's still thinking about her, then he needs to be with her, right? All that going on in my mind. Like,
Probably can't sleep.
20 minutes passed. And I'm like, well, how fair is this? Is this really right for me to just be over here and silence you? Because he came and knocked on the door like, is everything okay? How you feeling? You know? And I didn't answer. And I was just like, after 20 minutes, I was like, you know what? I grew up around family that would not talk to each other if somebody didn't wash the dishes. They wouldn't talk to each other for a week. Like just imagine the two of you live in one house, and because you didn't wash the dishes, he didn't talk to you for a full week. Like, that's a rough place to be in, and I hated seeing that. Like, wasn't my family in my household, but I saw it and it wasn't good. So I was like, you know what? It's 20 minutes. I should go talk to him, right? So how would I feel if I was in this same situation? So then I went to him and I told him how I felt or whatever, and we squashed it. The next day at breakfast, we were there key and laughing and whatever, and my friend, who had been married for 10 years, He said, listen, I went through 2 years of therapy with my wife to get to what y'all just did. That's called a good rebound, right? So being able to rebound quick is a telltale sign of the success of your relationship. Because if you sit there and harbor things and hold on to things, that's just going to really mess things up in terms of your marriage, you know, or in terms of your relationship or what you guys got going on. So it just opened my eyes to the fact of being able to communicate your needs and being able to bounce back is a huge part of you really having a lasting relationship.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. It's not good. It's not healthy to hold things in because it just you're gonna blow up.
But how you let them out is also important. So just getting it out isn't good either, right? So if in the heat of the moment you just want to,
That's how you say it. Okay.
and what you say.
And I want to bring up this too. Another topic is girls that women that took a man from another woman and then the man cheats on them. Why do they always get mad at that? Like, oh, he left me, da da da. Because you stole him from another man, woman. So what you expected to happen?
You can't address that. If people are cheating on people and then they cheat on people, then that's just what they get mad because they don't think it'll happen to them. They were different. Different. I was the one. She wasn't the one, even though she had a ring on her finger. Look at all the celebrities. Come on.
Yeah.
What's the
Groupies.
worst dating city in the U.S.?
No, I am not going to condemn Miami to the worst dating city.
You said something
Okay,
like
I
that.
It was
am
my
not.
top 3.
I
It's
am
hard to
not
girl
going
in
to
Miami.
condemn because you can find love.
It was in the
Michael
top
Jackson,
3.
somebody
I love
I
anywhere.
think it was Cali, well, L.A.,
LA's
Miami.
tough.
Just
New
big
York.
cities in general, I guess.
Oh no, Atlanta too. Atlanta.
Depending on what type of dating you doing, right?
Not a shot at Atlanta.
I actually have a friend too. I told him about an interview, and he was saying he thinks that matchmaking is a scam.
Oh. Why?
So do you do like blind dates or is it like?
What's your
Matchmaking?
process?
So in terms of matchmaking, right? So it really is a whole 90-minute interview with both parties to see if I believe that they'll actually be a match. And then, yeah, it is like a blind date to have a conversation and then meet up in person. I try not to have people look at photos because then we judge, just like you do with online dating. Oh no, I can't do that. But it's so crazy. You'll meet someone and essentially they look regular, but you connect in person and you're like, you're the greatest thing ever. But if you saw them online, you'd be like, nah, that's not gonna work, right? So we're very judgmental to what we don't know versus what we see in person. So yeah, so in terms of matchmaking, it's really for the elites because it ain't cheap, right? And it really, most of the people who end up being matchmaking clients are people who are very driven in business and haven't made time for love and look up and realize like, oh, I should have paid attention to this.
But why is that? Why is it only for the elite? Like normal
It's
people need
expensive.
love too.
Yeah, they do, but they just not gonna pay.
But why does it have to be expensive?
Because you're finding the person's lifelong mate.
How can you put a price on that?
You can. It's priceless. It's price full, not priceless. It's price full. If you couldn't do it by yourself,
You probably need help.
right?
So
And
what's
it's not
the
something
worst?
simple.
So they come back after the date and they come and tell you.
How each
So
other
what's your
did.
worst? What's your worst?
Sounds
story?
like therapy a little bit.
Therapists don't match you with anybody.
No,
right?
like you come back, how they come back to you, they talk to you.
Oh, have a conversation of how it went. Yeah, so for me, it's just the rejection piece, right? So it's like one person thinks they're young, right? So remind you, everybody's over 40 or even 50, right? So he's looking for a young girl, and I hooked him up with somebody who's age appropriate, and it's just like, well, I'm just
so you
looking
find
for
the person
somebody.
for him too?
Well, it depends on who the client is, right?
Okay.
But yeah, so it's like if the female is my client, I'm looking for a man. If the man is my client, I'm looking for a female.
Let me ask
Right.
you, because I know a lot of people here. We heard of the short guy in the bagel store.
What?
Oh, I seen that. Oh no, that went viral when he
Yeah,
was
the
like
guy-
yelling.
yeah, he was yelling at the girls because I guess they were treating him a certain way. So he was a short guy. So he was talking about
Short
how-
syndrome, I think. it's
how
called.
dating sites, they like every time he shows up, they like make fun of him and they never take him on a second date. So how do you help the short guys? Like,
I don't know. It's a tough situation. I don't know.
Because like if
don't want no short man.
Because if you do it where it's blind dating or you don't basically tell the profile and then they meet and this guy's like 4'10".
Yeah,
It's really tough.
That's
for
like
4'10".
what's borderline? Borderline's like
Midget.
what 5'3", 5'4", 5'5".
I know short women that only date women
Tall
men over
guys.
6 feet, and
Yeah.
it's just
I
like,
think
why are
girls
you trying
can
to
get
take
away
up
with
all the tall men for the semi-tall women? You know what I mean? It's not right.
I think girls could get away with it, but when this guy is like 5'3", I could feel like if he goes on a dating site,
It's
even if his
awesome.
face looks fine, they meet in
That's a whole thing, because I have a lot of women that
There
are
are
like,
so
I
many
need a
short guys in
man
Miami, by
who's
the
taller
way.
than me. When I put on my heels, I'm like, you can't wear flats. Like, why can't you wear flats? The average guy is like 5'8". I need you to calm down and wear flats. You know what I mean? Like, but that's a thing. It is a thing. A lot of women, like, I need a man who's taller than
So
me.
I have a question. Like, there's lots of now biracial relationships.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing of preference versus discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I discriminating against, let's just, Asians? If I don't want to date an Asian man, I have a preference in a certain, like, Spanish man, that's my preference? Or is that, like, people think, oh, I'm discriminating because I have a
No,
preference.
it's what
Yeah,
you're
I used to get
attracted
mad
to.
over
But there's a
Spanish girl
difference
used to be
between
like, I don't
preference
date
and
black boys.
discrimination.
I
Or
think
some
my
dudes-
race or something like
some
that.
dudes will be like, I don't like black girls.
What do you
Sometimes
mean?
I'll take that a little bit offensive, but I get
But
it.
then
'cause
there's
I'll
so
be
many like black women that hate that black men will date white women. I'm like, you are not taking anything from me. If that's your preference, that's your preference. It just is what it is. Now some people do buy into the whole trophy mentality, and it does seem like 90% of our celebrity industry looks like that. But at the end of the day, it's like 80% of our relationships are interracial, like just or intercultural, you know. So yeah, you might be Guyanese, but then he's from another part of Guyana that's like, you know. So I think it's preference. I don't think it's discrimination, especially if you weren't raised around Asian
Yeah.
men. If Asian men are nowhere around you, if you don't experience Asian men, like what would make you say, oh, let me try out an Asian man, you know? And that's one thing with black women, right? So a lot of black women only want to date a black man because they're like, well, I don't know what to do with other races. Then I'm like, you have to open yourself up, just because then you're only selecting one group when there's so many other groups right there, meaning white men. You know what I mean? I'm like, they could be awesome too, I promise. You
And
know?
it's not like, well, for me, I don't discriminate, or I don't really think I have a preference. Maybe I do, but it's just what appeals to me. Like, I've been attracted to white men, but white men haven't been attracted to me because they have a preference.
Right.
And then you know, you kind of feel a certain way, but it is what it is. Like,
I got two questions.
1, 2.
Is it true that women pick their preference based off of their fathers? Well, father. I said father. The man in their life.
Well, that's called the Oedipus complex. So some women do, right? Depending in terms of traits that remind you of their dad or whatever. So there are some things that, you know, the main provider, the main person in our lives, but was their
Especially
father
if you're,
even
like-
in their life, you know? Like so many people are being raised by a single mom. So some of them are looking for a father figure. So are you just a provider type? You know, so you know, everybody has their stuff, because there's a lot of men that are raised without fathers, and then so they're not even men because their moms taught them how to be men, and they're just like, I'm trying to do the best I can with what I know. And then a woman who's looking for you to change the tire, and it's like, I didn't have a dad or whoever, a mentor to help me change the tire. Like, but don't judge me on that, you know. So being able to come from
Is
the
that an
place of what's
excuse?
my past.
is that an excuse?
What's an excuse?
I feel like men kind of use that as an excuse.
Well,
I didn't have a dad.
no, I don't think it's an excuse, because it's your reality, right? So it's like,
But I mean, you can better yourself. Like, you can read books on how to be like a better. I know it's not the same, but
It's not the same. Like my husband, he had a father who was present, but that's about it. So like his mom still did everything, the super mom that did all things and served the food, cleaned the house, make the money, da da da. And his dad kind of sat there and received all good things and said, "Good boy." Like that's all that's the only story
And
that
he
I've
thought
heard
he was
about his
present.
dad, and that's it. So yeah, he's been a better man essentially than his dad, but then also he had warped expectations of me. Like, I ain't your mama right there. She said right there, boo. So whatever you need, you go to your mama, but I am not the person to do all things. That's why we have Instacart. That's why we have
That's vice
DoorDash.
versa,
That's
too.
why we have chefs, huh?
That's vice versa too.
Yeah.
Some women try to make the man they're talking to their missing father pretty much. You know,
Exactly. Yeah, so for me, it's really being able to deal with your underlying issues and expectations and then be able to say them and have a conversation of, this is what I'm expecting from you. Is that fair or does that stress you out?
Okay, how do you feel about girls that keep just like that keep going after the same type of guy? They know it's not gonna work out.
Oh, yeah. That happens often, right? So it's a different dude with the same body, essentially. It's like, oh, I thought you were different. No, this is the same exact relationship I just got out of. So it's just women not dealing with their stuff, which is what I help women do, right?
So
it's like
they
you
should
gotta deal with
go
your
out
stuff.
their comfort zone and.
Well, not necessarily out their comfort zone, but it's like if they're dating the same type of person, there's a reason, right? And you got to get to the root cause of that, because otherwise you just picking a different color is not going to say it's a different man. You could be a different color, but still be the same personality, the same abusive type, the same cheating type. That transcends all races, So who have you been attracting? What's the theme there? And how do we stop that theme to attract what you really want?
Okay. And, seeing you have said that in a relationship you should apologize even if it's true because it's me, because it was me, and like I said earlier, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Mm-hmm. So can you explain that more into details?
It's not what you say, it's how. So tone is everything. Well, y'all should speak on that, right? So my husband says it all the time. Like, okay, say it with your chest then. You know what I mean? Like, you coming at me. This is what my husband would say, in terms of women. He always used to know when he dated a woman that didn't have a father figure, because then she'd get in his face, and he was like, there's a certain respect that you have for a man that you don't do that unless you're ready to fight.
Yeah,
like you don't come at me in a certain way unless we're going toe to toe, and I'm not trying to go toe to toe with you, so I need you to back up.
My
right?
girlfriend does that.
Yeah, it's just the same one that you were just talking about.
No.
Oh, a different one.
Yeah,
so a lot of women that do that are missing dad didn't have a father figure in their life.
That's been his experience in terms of
traits-wise?
who he dated in the past. He just noticed that for the women that were really disrespectful, they didn't have a male figure around that kind of corrected, like, you don't do that, this is how you speak to a man, So for us, sometimes we want to speak to a man like our girlfriend, and that doesn't work, right? Or we want to demand like he's our do boy, and that doesn't work. So how do you treat someone like a partner in life, like you're both here and you respect each other? It's a training, it's a process, and it's a lifelong process, because we all have our own stuff that we bring to the table.
Okay. All right. So let's get to our segment.
Our segment.
Between the sheets.
Between the sheets.
We should have like a
snap.
special.
Drum roll.
Oh.
Okay. Go ahead, Amanda. Go ahead and lead us. Lead us into the segment.
Shake it up.
Okay, shake it up. Shake it up.
How much
shake
questions?
it up.
5 questions?
5.
Oh snap! Between the sheets, I'm scared.
And you're gonna pick, and then give it to me, and I'll read it.
Okay. I'm scared.
I did not come up with these questions.
I'm surprised y'all didn't go live on Instagram.
I was thinking about actually. Go live.
Have you ever cheated on? You typed these. Okay. Have you ever got cheated on with the opposite sex or same sex?
Have I ever been cheated on? Yes.
No, the question was, what's worse? Sorry about that. What's worse, getting cheated on by the same sex or the opposite sex?
Oh, in terms of my husband, or not even put that into the air. In terms of a boyfriend, I would say by the same sex. Yeah, if he cheated with another man, I think that would be worse than getting cheated on with another woman. All right, next question. Welcome to Behind the Sheets. Behind the Sheets.
Between the sheets.
Between the sheets. Okay.
If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done? Well, that's a good one.
You like a fighter.
She is.
So they call me
You know
firecracker.
what you said earlier.
Right?
In marriage, it's what was it? You get through or through a casket.
That's it.
So she probably killed her husband.
Oh, Let's not speak that into
Yeah.
existence.
Right.
I killed somebody trying to get at my husband.
There
How
you
about
go.
that?
That's
There
fine.
we go.
I
There
can
we
see
go.
that.
I will cut you. Let me tell you, I went to his high school reunion, right?
Oh,
So
that's
this is his
crazy.
20-year high school reunion, and there's this one female that kept touching his chest as she passed.
So what do you do in
And-
that situation?
And I was 7 months pregnant. And I was like, who is Becky Sue? Who is she?
Thank you with the good hair.
Becky Sue. Who is she? Why does she keep touching you? He was like, babe, what are you talking
Is this
about?
a real life?
Why does she keep touching you? Yes!
Did he have
7 months pregnant at
You
the
doing all this in
Atlantic
front of
Spa
everybody?
Ocean. But, you know, in private.
Oh.
Does
Like-
he have an explanation, or he's just
Yeah,
like,
he was like, oh, well, we had a thing
We
back
kicked
in,
it
like,
out.
middle school. You know, she used to, you know, back in the
Ooh,
day.
Becky,
And I was like, yeah. He was like, but babe, she's married with 3 kids. I was like, she touched your test 3 times. If she comes touch you one more time, it's me and her. No, it's me and her.
And does he know, like, oh, you gonna do it? Like, he knows who he's dealing with?
Well, you know, I've never done anything too crazy, but it's just like, I
Don't-
see you. That's that woman's intuition.
How did she touch his chest?
It
Though?
doesn't
Nothing
I don't
too
think it's
crazy, but you know, just like a hey.
You just know.
Like when you're just passing, I'm telling you, it's women's intuition. I'm like,
Yeah,
Who is she?
it goes both ways too. Because if you see a dude with a chick and you just see it, you just watch them, you could tell like what's
It's
going on.
body language. it's
Well,
what we-
guys are more obvious though.
No, I don't think so. It's just the way they speak to you, the way they may be around
middle
you, how
school.
close.
Becky
So have you
thinking
ever
about it
done
from middle
pop-ups?
school.
I was watching The Breakfast Club and they were talking about doing pop-ups and stuff, and Angela Yee said, yeah, I've
Oh,
done
like
a
if you
pop-up.
see her-
She's like, I actually went through the window and met him home. I was like, okay, damn.
Pop-ups, like why
Yeah,
you doing
like,
pop-ups?
unannounced.
So if he says he's at somewhere and you, I guess for some reason you don't believe him, you'll mess around and go there and make sure he's there.
So you've done some pop-ups?
Yeah, I've done pop-ups but in the dating phase. I haven't done that in the marriage phase, but yeah, I've done some pop because he works from home.
Make
Mhm.
sure
You know,
he's
just-
where he's at.
I was in the neighborhood. I did a pop-up before that ended that dating situation. Because we weren't that serious, and I think I was calling him or whatever. He didn't answer the phone. I was like, oh, well, since I'm right here, I'll just pass by. He was like, why are you at my house? That was the thing. So that was the end of that. But then he also had a female at his house. So that also ended that situation. So, yeah, you know,
Damn.
So do you
The
condone
pop-ups.
pop-ups?
I don't condone it.
I'm for it.
I'm against it.
It depends on where you're headed. If it's a situationship, it's whatever, don't pop up. If it's something looking more serious, no pop-up never hurt anybody.
Because if he didn't care, he wouldn't be like, you wouldn't get upset.
Nope.
I don't care about it. It's just
I was in the
it's
neighborhood.
weird.
I brought some cookies.
It's like, I believe you, I just have to confirm.
Brought you some cookies. Thought you were hungry.
Thanks for the cookies.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. That's all I need to know. You're
Yeah.
just in there.
So let's get the
Third question. Let's
Oh,
go.
sorry. Hey girl, what's your fantasy? Chasing love between the sheets.
Who should make the first move in a relationship?
Oh, that's a good one.
Listen,
Wait, what do
When-
you mean? In, like, y'all, like sex? And
Yeah.
y'all are
I
actually
think
already...
Relationship in general, like your first date, I guess.
I guess
Oh,
when
like
you
the
first meet
kiss,
somebody.
Okay.
me and my husband didn't kiss for a month.
Why?
Because
You
he was
sounded-
he was on this trip of we're just friends. Like we're just friends. We're just friends. We're just friends. Literally within the month of us dating, Valentine's Day came. He gave me this big bouquet, like you know when people die, like
The
with
yellow
those-
roses?
yeah, like those the
Because
big
yellow
old.
means friendship.
Oh my gosh! It was like the biggest cornucopia. It looked like the Thanksgiving thing. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is just a friendship bouquet. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm like,
Oh, boy, true
okay.
shit.
But he was really serious about this whole friendship thing. So
But that's
finally,
good because men will be like, oh, I just want to be friends, and then it's okay. We're talking sexual stuff,
Right.
We're doing other things that
Yeah.
not friendship.
So I ended up making the move after a month. I was like, I'm just gonna get some.
Oh,
I
so
was
you
like-
made the first move.
I did. I was like, this
Did
takes-
you judge him
I
for
was
that
like-
though?
I was like, this takes so long.
You thought something was wrong with him?
No,
I think girls are judging.
no, because we had a conversation about being abstinent. So at the same time, you're
Oh,
like,
so he's
you don't want to
probably
run
extra
too
cautious.
quick, you know, because
Yeah.
it's really easy to go from 0 to
That is
100.
true, because if you
real quick.
sometimes when you move too early, the girl, it's like a turn off to the girl that usually runs away too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
I
because
think girls
it's
like-
a
I think girls
hard
like
in
the-
between.
I think girls
Yes,
like
Where's
to-
the in
thin
between?
line,
It's a
thin
thin
line.
line
Yeah.
between a kiss and sex nowadays. You know, it's like home base.
Yeah.
We just started the game. Get my peanuts and my popcorn.
Alright, next question.
He's just looking for something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what because he wrote that.
You guys are awesome.
Have you ever wanted to role play?
Yeah.
Have you role played?
Yeah.
Have you role played?
What was the role play?
I'm Sasha.
Sasha Fierce?
You were like a
Is
wig
he
or something?
Jay-Z?
No wigs. No.
Costumes?
No. His name is Nafis.
His name is what?
Nafis.
Who's that?
You asked a role play. That's
I said, is he Jay-Z? She said, she's
No.
Sasha Fierce. I said, is he Jay-Z?
No.
Oh.
No, JC's ugly.
Why did people say that though?
I
What?
mean, that's a
Oh.
He's not my type. I like my husband only. He's the sexiest man
Oh,
alive.
okay.
That's a good one.
That's a good answer.
She brought it back home.
I know Idris Elba.
Well, actually, my husband looks just like Idris Elba.
There you go. That's another good one.
He surely does. He surely does. Like,
Okay.
I don't know if you could. Like, he looks very, like, people actually say, oh.
A little bit, yeah.
How many
I can
kids
see
do you
it.
guys have?
One. It's Ava.
Cute.
Yeah.
Do you want any more?
No, I'm good with one.
You
Sorry, dear.
guys have any more questions?
No, that'll wrap it up.
So where can we find you? Do you have a book? Is that going to be your next move?
I love you guys. Oh, yes. So I am working on a book. Ooh. So pretty much anybody interested in following me, I'm at Inspire Many on Instagram.
Is the book called Think Like a Woman?
No, but that's a good one.
That's what I'm saying. We need a little cheat code. You
Yeah.
gotta get y'all a cheat code. We need a cheat code.
I like that.
See, I'm giving you
I
ideas.
just write that down.
She gave us some
Ding,
before
ding,
the
ding,
show
ding, ding,
started.
like a woman. I like it. So, yeah, so I am working on a book. I won't release the name just yet, but it's all around, choosing the right one for you, and how do you do that? Because that's a serious art, because we've chosen all the wrong ones before, right? On Facebook, I'm Ask Coach Cass. I have Facebook groups. I have a website, inspiremany.com.
And where can they get the matchmaking services?
Yeah, so they could go to inspiremany.com to find out more. Inspire Many, INSPIREMANY.com is the easiest place. And anybody watching, you could go to relationshipsforbusywomen.com to get a free gift. Yeah, I got a free gift there that you can get.
What is this free gift? Is it like a dildo or something? Or?
No, it's more of a checklist for your first date.
Nah,
Definitely not hosting passion parties. There is a lane for that, but that's not my lane.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
So y'all want to shoot y'all shot?
Thanks, guys, for having
Thanks for
me.
coming.
You're so awesome. This is
For the
so
Culture
fun.
Podcast.